Good evening, and welcome to another segment of the New Black Leadership Coalition, here live in the studios of Intellectual Radio. I am Gregory Sane, the host and one of the co-members of the New Black Leadership. Very, very thankful, blessed, highly favored, and extremely into the Creator for blessing me with clarity, blessing me with another day on this planet that we refer to as Earth. I am very, very grateful. And, every day I think about this, you just say how you feel, and the rhythm that you have is based on your connection to the universe. And I know I am imperfect. I know I got faults. I know I got shortcomings. And I know there's a lot of room in my life for improvement. But I'm thankful that God has deposited, David, in me a spirit of redemption, a spirit of forgiveness and a spirit of humanity as a whole, but then a spirit to be a warrior, to be a fighter. Because sometimes you wonder why I choose a platform. Why not just be a bourgeois Negro? Why not just be a disconnected person from what we consider to be the struggle? From what we claim to be that's connected. So when we talk about the new black leadership, sometimes I wonder, is a word that I'm going to say has semantics in it, because I mean it does. I believe we are servants, and I believe we take leadership in many areas of our life, or we don't. But being a servant connects us spiritually to a higher power. Because there are a bunch of people running around saying that they are leaders, they are organizers, they are activists, they are preachers, they are bishops, and all of that. Human condition have gotten worse under a bunch of folks who said that they're leaders. But anyhow, I'm honored, man, to be on this show with a young man that this brother, I have nothing but the utmost respect for you, brother David. I am really, honestly, brother, every time I think about it, I think I say it, but I could not say it enough, how proud I am personally of the work that you do at the being young executive director, CEO of the A. Philip Randolph Museum. I mean, and David, I think it's safe to say you're young enough to be my son. And that's the truth. And so when I see you, I do see my son, a young man that is on the move. And you were just recently on, we're going to talk about that. You were just recently part of the panel discussion of the Obama's leadership. I guess they call it inauguration leadership summit, something to that degree, but it was a summit or panel. I know I saw you on the stage saying some really powerful things, and I got some questions.
Okay.
Regarding what you were saying, which I knew they would drag out of you, bring out of you, pull out of you.
Right.
Some of your Joe Watkins spirit.
That's right.
I saw the diplomacy, but I could tell that you were there in the presence, and you were thinking about our people and what could, how that could benefit us as a whole. So again, brother, very honored, and in the true sense of the word, to have a young man like you this show. And thank you, your mom, Doc. The Doc is amazing for the work that she has instilled in you. That's the real deal. That one right there is the real deal. She don't take no prisoners.
No, not one.
So she raised you unbelievably, brother. Very well. But welcome to the show again. You've been on here before. We always very happy to have you here in the studio. Brother David, how you doing?
Well, I appreciate that. As always, it's always a pleasure and an honor to be here, amongst the brethren, just to talk about this stuff, and to have a form of accountability, despite me being on a platform as big as the one I was on. I knew that before I got on that platform, I needed to check in. And after I got off, I needed to check in. What do I need to say? What did I say wrong? You know what I mean? And that's just part of my humility that keeps me grounded. Now that I've been thrown in this category of leadership, this isn't necessarily something that I just, ran after. It was just something that I was appointed to. So I had to step up to the plate, and here I am. So with that, I'm thankful for a mechanism like the New Black Leadership Coalition that can continuously give me, people around me that can keep me grounded and load me up with the information I need so that I can speak intelligently on behalf of the multitude,
Many are called, but very, 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 very few really are chosen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you've been appointed by a spirit or a movement through the Creator that this making is we have very little to do with it. And I'm glad that you have the humility that you have. I was thinking too, I had called a friend just to show you how things work on Sunday, and I called them and they said, look, they sent me a text back because they didn't answer their telephone. And they sent me a text back and they said, they didn't say they were busy. They just said they out checking out the game. And I forgot that there were games going on because I said, I thought we were boycotting the NFL. I kid you not. We were boycotting. And they said, they sent me a text back because I sent them one to say that. And they said, exact words, they said, oh, I'm supporting the players, the black players. I said, no, I beg to differ. You support the owners and the advertisers. So whenever you watch that, the black players still gonna get a check, and they don't know if you watch it or not. No. But those folks in the stand. But I thought that was just funny because we just have to know and understand that that's fine. There's nothing wrong with people checking out, because if they're not gonna fight for themselves, then it's not a lot you can do for them anyway. So go on and watch it and, have some fun and etc. Safe fun. You don't have to go crazy if they lose or not. And then take your butt home and cook. That's what I started to say. Get your butt out of that and go home and cook a meal. But anyway, I love you nevertheless. And believe me, we do need balance in everything that we do. And I know that you was doing a balancing act up there. I don't know if you were acting, but the way you handled it, because I heard some of the questions.
Well, I mean, that's just a compilation of my everyday conversation. That's why, a lot of people say, you just seem so relaxed. And I just kept thinking to myself, well, I talk about this same content every day. If you follow me on social media or if you're in a conversation with me, this is the same stuff I'm always saying. So nothing really changed. It wasn't like I had to prep for it. The only prepping I did was I asked them for a personal room where I could go have some water and meditate before I got on that stage.
And when you say a word, you use the word the diaspora.
Yeah,
you said the diaspora. And I looked at their faces when you said that, and you made reference to Columbus and
Mansa
Musa that had made many trips.
Absolutely.
Before. But if you notice, and then, it was a little laughter, etc.
Yeah.
But that was very good for them to know that you conscious and the truth.
Yeah, I mean, and more than that,
how can we help?
Yeah.
If we want to live a lie and then we go along to get along, and it ain't about being militant or being indifferent. It's really about saying, look, let's be honest here. Not that was the conversation,
Right.
but you found the way. And then I love how you invoke our brother, man, Baba Quasi, into that discussion, brother. And long live his spirit. And I'm very proud of you that you were not just thinking about yourself. You actually paid respect and honor to those that have impacted your life.
Yeah, I mean, because like for me, like I always say, I'm simply a vessel. You know what I mean? Because me, myself, I'm very flawed. You know, I have a temper. You know, I might tell somebody they can go kiss where the sun don't shine. Impure thoughts from time to time. But at the end of the day, when it's time for me to do that work, I got to release all self and become selfless. Because at that moment, I'm being used as a vessel.
Well,
You know
I'm
what
the
I mean?
same way, man. I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know,
I'm so stubborn that I fit my picture should be in the dictionary for tourists.
Mhm.
You know, I hear all that stuff about the tourists. My picture should be in there. I don't think there's a more stubborn person than me. And it's so you have to be, it's nothing to be proud of.
Yeah,
I need to work on it. But I know when you say flawed, that's why when I came on, I mentioned imperfect. And that's why as new Black leadership, we see that we work on ourselves. But if you notice in our mission statement, we talk about some high principles that men and women that want to lead Black people should be about integrity. And that's why we sometimes sound like we being hard on individuals, but we don't have time right now to play with this whole piece of our survival. So therefore, we must look in the mirror, and we do have to strive toward, self improvement.
And I'm gonna bookmark that one point right there and continue with the point I was making.
Self development.
Yeah, and basically what I was saying was, like, when I get in that space and I'm using myself as a vessel for the ancestors, we're taught in our tradition that things, to keep them alive. You know what I mean? So for me, we're in a space where economics really is the key. Because although that was a leadership summit with people from all around the world coming together, the issues that affect my community where I come from is economics. So therefore, I needed to invoke the spirit of those ancestors that have triumphed in the regard of economics.
So speaking of that, I want to go right at this. If these are leaders who have traveled and they came to Chicago from all over, what is it on that platform that could seriously not address, because all of these things have been addressed, they being addressed, that could aggressively go in and deal with the root causes as well as the opportunities to change the quality of life for our people and folks everywhere? What is it about this piece? Is that what it's really about?
When you say this piece, you mean
that summit? You said leadership. What is it? What is the goals and objectives of that body of people and handpicked? You up there. That's why I say there's hope. You see somebody like you up there, God has a way. I looked, and the first thing went through my mind is, damn, the spook who sat by the door is on the stage.
Well, like for me, I was specifically invited by After School Matters.
Oh, okay.
So
After School Matters.
Yeah. So because Melody Hobson, I don't know if you know, but she's the chairman.
Okay.
So I don't know. Very frankly, I don't know if everyone knew that I was going to go that far off into economics and things of that nature. But that's who I am. So the questions that they asked me, that is what was
one of the questions?
What was a question? See, for me, like, I just made sure that I was able to spin every question so that I could tell my story.
Right. Which is clever.
So, they basically just wanted to know my background,
Okay.
how was I influenced by a program in the city? In my case, that program was After School Matters. I went through an After School Matters program. Now I'm facilitating the After School Matters program, so I'm kind of like a success story for them, if you will, but beyond that success story, just being exposed to that at such a young age, I was doing the organizing and feel good stuff very, very long ago. So now it's about economics, because once you begin to get out there and organizing and touching your people, the commonality is they all need money.
After School Matters, BAM, a lot of these organizations, and I'm glad you benefited from it. How the mayor, Daley, that was a piece that I guess his wife, Maggie Daley, or whoever came up with. But, that's why organizations like Black Star and others who are doing work and is pretty much supported, that they get recognition. And there are other organizations, but you benefited from After School Matters. Ms. Hobson recommended you to be on the panel, and up there afterwards, were there follow-up to the person that you are and what you're doing?
Well, not specifically, no. Like a thanks for coming out type of deal. But I mean, I guess in their mind, I already have a program there. So that's the follow up, if you will. But I mean, for me, I understand that the last decade in Black society has been controlled by quote unquote organizers. You know what I mean? We're at a point now where we need to be controlled by businessmen and women. Because if we're trying to attack issues of economics, we can't have somebody up there who's just trying to make everyone feel good. You know what I mean? So like if you were about to have heart surgery, you wouldn't have a plumber come in there. So if our issues in the community are economics, then why do we have organizers speaking to that? Unless their background is business. And then we wonder why we keep bumping into this brick wall. We keep bumping into this brick wall because when people get in spaces where there's $2 and $3 billion worth of net worth in the room, they're telling a feel-good story as opposed to trying to find out how they can extract some of those resources to then influence their community the way it needs to be influenced.
And that's frustrating sometimes.
It's very frustrating.
Hear, because complacency,
absolutely,
being content and being just all right with mediocrity, and when you think about, we have a summit coming up. At our next quarterly roundtable, New Black Leadership Roundtable, we're going to be addressing economics, and we're going to have some great conversation with some very powerful individuals that it is absolutely driven by arriving at not just solutions that we're familiar with, but unity and making it happen. So I'm going to give some information about the date. It's coming up actually this weekend. The Leadership Roundtable. Economics is going to be the focus for this one. And I'm glad you said that. But when you look at, say, for instance, don't you ever think about, I know I do quite often, when I look at the Black church and we talk about a collective group of individuals. And I said this to a friend of mine, my sisters, they attend John Hannah Church, and good brother. But I just wish that all of these churches, like Mr. Winston, all of them, whatever church it is, I really wish that they know that economics and working together could do some remarkable things. And that's why sometimes you begin to be suspect of their real motives. And they have all these people in right there, I wouldn't say under their control, but influence. Yet when we leave these places, 2 and 3 services, we don't own nothing around it. But we keep talking about economics. There's no farmland owned by any of them.
Right.
So how could you say you divinely connected and you ain't thinking about how to feed yourself if if the system and the government was not feeding us. Mm-hmm. I mean, how wise are you if you're not pushing programs that could clothe you, that could give you housing? I mean, what is it? What's the end goal that you, as a leader, as a servant, what is it that we're trying to do in terms of the youth out here and et cetera?
Well, yeah, that's what the panel was actually about, youth engagement. That was the specific topic of that one. And, it was basically just talking about my experience here in the United States and the young lady from the UK's experience. And kind of like a comparison and contrast, but the commonality was, we both had mothers who were influential in our lives, as well as Prince Harry. He's speaking to the fact how his mother deeply influenced him, because, if anybody knows his mother, she was the renegade of the family, And, what impressed me about him was when he said privilege, and then those of us trying to do the right thing, we spend the rest of our life trying to pay it back. That was like a moment of atonement almost for me, just to hear him acknowledge that, because so many times you hear people dance around that, you know what I mean? But he understood that. And, I understood that was really coming from the seeds planted by his mom, when she used her platform to go out and speak about different things. I don't necessarily think people like that too much, in that family. And they were, pretty vocal about that.
Who's that?
Prince
I don't,
Diana.
Yeah. It's hard for me to call him Prince. I do get it though.
Yeah.
No. I get it. And, like Prince David.
well, actually, David is the King David.
King David, right?
Yeah, Solomon, my son.
Woo, teach, brother.
You hear me? But
King David. That's what you say. Introduce you, King David. It's Prince Harry, meet King David.
My monarchy might not be as big, but it is indeed a monarchy.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's one of those things when you said, how they have earned that and privilege, and and all that came about from bloodshed. Absolutely. And conquering.
Absolutely.
They haven't been qualified through the divine ordination with those titles. I mean, I've watched 300 and Gladiator and The First Night and all those movies, and it always shows the brutality. And then they, you clean it up a little bit like the Kennedys. Mm-hmm. You bootlegged all your life, and then all of a sudden you become the president of the United States of America after Joe. So much liquor. But anyway, what was one of the other areas that they talked about? You said youth engagement. Mm-hmm. Look at the youth right now, and in Chicago and around the United States, with the social media. What do you think, and how could we, through the social media, change the minds and hearts of our youth, in terms of this huge disconnect?
Well, whoever has access to the mind the most is the one that really controls it, So that's why media is so important. So, when there's so much negative messaging going out there from all different ways, it influences people negatively, So that's why with Museum 44, our youth and young adult division over at the museum, we're trying to pump the kids up with so much positivity that once they get that platform in their hands, now they're putting out a certain thing, So that's why we have a podcast there for them, so that they can talk about whatever issues they want to talk about just in that setting, in that controlled setting where history is their base.
So people who viewing this, can they bring their youth over? I mean, is a specific date and time? Mm-hmm. But if I was viewing this, listening to you, knowing how you have been, shaped and molded into this, being molded still into this person, I would run my youth, my children over there to see you, the youth. So is it open? How do the youth get involved?
Yeah, well, they just have to register for the program. We have the fall session, the spring session, summer session, and they just have to register online, afterschoolmatters.org. put in Museum 44.
Can't just walk over.
No. It ain't no just come over and walk over. I mean, we gotta
still have that. I don't think everybody should have to be online.
Well, because
it's, to me, I'm sorry. I know maybe is this what God wants?
We gotta have that, but we gotta increase our capacity in order to deal with that.
I agree with that. We need it.
So I can take care of 16 kids, by myself, but on that 17, 18, I need somebody to come over and volunteer. So, the same people who might offer that scrutiny and say, well, why you ain't doing this? Well, come on over, give us a hand, and we can increase our capacity and we can do it, or there might be a financial concern, we might not have enough money to have more staff like we want to in order to accommodate more kids. That's why we got to get one of those safe passage contracts over at the museum. So you got to do that. We right there. So,
I tell you
let's
what,
make it happen.
Soon the RFP is coming out. We do need strong leadership, man, in all of these categories that are very much familiar with the community.
Absolutely.
And understands the dynamics of that community, and really in it because they want to see operations like that to fade away to where we are safe passage. We are parent patrol. We are the walking school bus, the people that live in that community. So now we have to use I wouldn't call those people or operations artificial, but it sure would be nice if all of the concerned citizens and people who live on these blocks and etc., if we could wake them up again to be neighbors, to be nosy neighbors again.
That's true, but
not because you need a check, but because you're doing it because it was done to you. You protected the youth.
But in a lot of the times in those cases, though, when that community was like that, the economic base was a little more stable than it was.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot more homeowners, a lot more, community businesses, things of that nature. That puts you in a different mind state. That's why I never move beyond economics, because, it's enough people out there that can speak for the problems for me. So I don't necessarily have to reiterate that or reinvent the wheel. So my conversation is carefully crafted so that it's solution based. You know what I mean? And that cuts off my tolerance for a lot of the other conversations, because, a lot of the times people put unrealistic expectations on us as leaders. They expect us to be perfect. They expect us to be present for them in spaces where they probably would not have been present for us. I just got out of a situation like this. Somebody who I have not seen in some years, I had only had maybe 1 to 2, 3 conversations with, and they hadn't even been to the museum yet. And they proclaimed themselves to be my base. My support base.
Is that right?
So for me, it's a slap in the face, because I know all of the nights and days that I'm in that museum from 11 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night dealing with those kids by myself. I know what that feels like. I know when we have events and I'm over there being the security guard, the maintenance man, and after those gates are about to close, I'm the one closing those gates. I'm the one picking up the trash off the ground, all of these different things. Or when it's time for us to have our fundraisers and we're pushing that information out, you see who's sharing that stuff. You see who's receptive to that information. You know what I mean? So when the one thing that I'll never forget about what Elijah Muhammad said, those cameras. Because they breed that jealousy, that envy. So people will see me on the stage with Prince Harry and think that after we got off the stage, he wrote me a check and said, okay, now go do this work. When that's not what happened. Right. You know what I mean? But you expect me to now be in this space where I can just now come out and wave my wand and give everything to you. And in that very same moment, you don't realize that I'm still fighting to get to where I need to be.
I'm so glad you said that, because I believe very strongly that the new Black leadership, this coalition, you would think that a bunch of people would be writing checks right away to say that they got it. They got it, and it is a collective effort. It's balanced and etc. That they go, man, let me write a check. So when you talk about, I think it's envy, I think it is jealousy, but I think it's more so people believe in a mystery God, and it's almost like we just waiting on some magical to happen for us to get back on track. And although we see that we've been Malcolm was not an accident that everybody could quote him when he said, we've been bamboozled, we've been hoodwinked.
Yeah.
And that piece was really talking about our own people, by our own people that look just like us.
Absolutely.
We got tricked
Yeah.
because if we really cared. And I'm not mad at the people that attended the Urban League's Golden Fellowship. I used to work for the Urban League and was proud of the work that I was blessed and granted to do, directing the program, The Male Responsibility, because out of that was born the Male Involvement Program and brothers like Chris Moore. May God be pleased with his soul. That brother, man, a brilliant brother, man, that I love and will always honor. Man, God, I'm so thankful that we're having this conversation to invoke his name. But the Urban League, that work is bigger than the hobnobbing at a gala.
Right.
So after all of the big tickets and the corporate sponsors buy all of these tables and the same people go and hobnob, they see each other every year. Every year, the same people dressed up. Man, that's mentally something wrong. I mean, if you just want to go and have a party, fine. I get it. And I'm not mad at you, but Lord have mercy. People begin to feel like they have arrived, Brother David. And so I'm hard on that foolishness because I know the condition of our people. And if we that damn smart and that sharp and we got it going on like this, then it should be showing up in our community.
Right.
Through ownership.
No, I hear you.
I mean, I think everybody should go and visit the A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. There's no way you shouldn't. There's no way you should not know more about that movement. I mean, that was deep, what I learned from you regarding that struggle.
And see, and just going back to that whole unrealistic expectation that people put on us, sometimes people will expect more than what they give.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for the sake of this discussion, let's say, just like I was telling you about somebody saying that they're my support base or they're our consumer base, right?
Right.
That is a statement made out of ignorance because frankly, and what the books say is 80% of our visitorship is not even African American. You know what I mean? Now deep down inside, that's the thing that kind of stings the most. But at the end of the day, for us, as long as we can tell that story with integrity, dignity, and perspective and respect in perpetuity, I'm fine with it. Because if I got to skip a generation, you know what I mean, to make sure that story is preserved the right way, I'm here for it.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Very
But my thing is, it's just important that the story itself is told because the story is bigger than the building. The story is bigger than me as the executive director or even Dr. Hughes as a founder. You know what I mean? It's bigger than us. It's a story that rights the wrongs of history. When I sat up on that stage with them, I wasn't just someone who's speaking from the perspective of business or someone speaking from the perspective of youth engagement. I was speaking as a historian. And as a historian, it's important that we tell the correct story. Good. So when I speak of Mansa Musa, that is me righting the wrongs of history. Because there's a history teacher out there in the audience somewhere who needed to hear that. There was a student out there that needed to hear that needed to hear, wow, my ancestors did make those journeys beforehand. They need to know that type of stuff because at that point it gives you a different connection to your lineage. Now when you say this ancestor's name, now his essence becomes real. So when I can say that to all of these different governments, and I know it's millionaires and billionaires watching it, we invoke that spirit. So now we can extract the fruits of that spirit.
Yeah, because I think about, when I first read some of it, I didn't read the whole book, but I think his name is Alvin Van Sertima. They came before Columbus. Is that right? Ivan Van Sertima. Ivan. They came before Columbus. And so that information is out there. And when you put it out there and you speak from the perspective of a historian, right? And that book, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Everybody should have a copy of those books. And because when you don't know where you've been, you definitely have no idea where to go. where are you going?
Yeah, no, that's important. That's important. Like I say, that's the most important thing for me. That's what I teach the youth that I work with. And that's what I teach the elders I come in contact with, because some of them have been conditioned to just only think that one thing is the way it is. So when I get to speaking to ancestors, say, oh, here he comes with this witchcraft and this and that. It's like, I'm
witchcraft.
Like, but at the same time, somebody else can have guardian angels. So if they can have guardian angels, why can't we honor our ancestors?
They're gonna call yours witchcraft, and yet we're gonna put a tree up in a few days. Hello.
Listen.
Hello.
So
what I'm saying, look.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
We're gonna put up a tree in a few days. Who benefits? ComEd. Who benefits? The fire department. How do you say the fire department? Secure jobs, because faulty wires always every year, bro. During that time, there's more fires around Christmas seasons than any other time of the year. Who's gonna benefit? Corporate America. Who's going to benefit? Who's going to? Not us. And I say that to say that when people say what they say out of pure ignorance, even if you point it out, they still get mad. That's why ain't nowhere in the world you could keep telling me that you saved and then you practicing something that is totally connected to falsehood. So you're not saved until you wake your butt up. And you could keep doing whatever you want to do, but don't try to, make evil fair seeming. Or don't make a lie the truth. And I don't even beat up people because I'm not a damn Scrooge. But you ain't gonna have that conversation with me. Right. And then when I point out to you, the difference between Santa Claus and Saint Nicholas and a song that a celebration used to be 12 days. I do all of that and show you where Satan and Santa is words shuffled, and I do all of that stuff. And then they still looking like, but what difference does it make? What difference does it make? Hell, if the book says you shall know the truth and it shall make you free, then damn, it make all the difference in the world, because that's the same spirit that you said you had on that stage, and that was you took an opportunity to correct something.
To correct something and to take a chance to talk about money and finance in the midst of people who have the resources to do something. They need to know that there's people out here that are thinking about that from that perspective.
Yes.
I wasn't up there looking for a handout. I wasn't mad that they didn't give me a check. I just wanted a platform so that I could say the things that I needed to say for someone who's willing to be an investor or a shareholder could hear it.
Well, you had on that power tie. You had on that power tie, brother. That tie gold. I was like, man, was that
but I'm gonna tell you,
was that by design?
I'm gonna tell you, it was by design. I'm gonna tell you why, because I was up there talking about the growth and development of hip hop culture and how it went from just something that we did in the parks as kids to $1 billion industry, right? That was my proof of concept right there. That was a tie by Puff Daddy. That was a Sean John tie, right? So this is a byproduct of cultural economic development. So when I talk about cultural economic development, I'm talking about, I'm up here giving you an example of a young man who started off as an entertainment intern, started his own business, made millionaires, created an infrastructure, has his own television network now. You know what I mean? And also one of his byproducts of his celebrityism is making clothes.
And got one of the new black leaders wearing one of them Sean John ties at the Obama Leadership Summit.
His platform gave me an opportunity. They came to the museum. You know what I mean?
Oh, good.
You know, there are a lot of high level politicians who have never been to the museum, right?
What do you mean?
There are a lot of people.
Can you elaborate on that?
There are a lot of people who speak on behalf of the community, you know what I mean, who've never been to the museum, but I don't take that personally. But he sent his people over there to come interview myself and my partners, and they gave us a platform on their network to talk about what we were talking about. And when I was
Oh,
on there,
good.
and when I was
Very
on there,
good.
I spoke about the same thing that I spoke about on that stage: economic development. So you know, when I was talking about what the interests of the kids are, I'm talking about it being an economic concern for them. That's why they're clicking up in these fractions of these
And
games.
that's what I love about
trying to get
you.
some money together.
You don't let nobody go square.
Economics,
I mean,
education, and politics. That's it. You know, that's it. That's all. I mean, you know, somebody else can talk about something else. You know, I got to carve mine out.
And tell us why you say that. Tell us why you say that.
Well, education, economics, politics.
Yes.
Well, I mean, in addition to that being something indoctrinated in me since I was a child by elders in my community, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Without the proper education, we can't even have the correct conversation about economics. We can't go in there pontificating about what's going on. You know what I mean? Because once again, if you do, you'll miss your beat. You know what I mean? So if I don't know that I can have a conversation with someone about shares and stock owners and all of these type of things, then I won't say it. I'll say, hey, you think y'all can give me a donation for this after school program? We got some kids that need some help. No, I got some kids in this room that's going to be the next billionaires because they had the mental capacity and the influence to come up with byproducts of cultural economic development that can be sold to international tourists from around the world. Right? These kids' innovation can create things like that, and they have created things like that, just like this tie that I'm sitting up here wearing. You know what I mean? So we need somebody who's going to be the investor that's going to say, okay, you know what? I got $1 million on this kid right here. Okay, this kid sold 1 million times. Okay, now we're going to do an IPO. We're going to take this company public. So now everybody who's giving $1 to this, now they're investors. They're not just donors. They're investors and shareholders. They want to see this thing go public, right? We got to change that conversation to that, or else we're going to keep asking for this handout thing. And then people can keep backbiting us and cutting us off at the knees for handouts. So we can have somebody go before us on behalf of the community and say, yeah, no, just give me the money. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to create this mentorship program for these kids. These kids don't need no mentorship. Mentor them with some money.
See, and that's what, and that's why, man. And I thank you, Brother Earl, for giving us this platform. I promise you, bro. Yeah. I mean that from the top of my heart because intellectual radio, people can hear you. They can hear me. They hear Minister Mike. They know we here. Mm-hmm. There are other folks that know what our platform is. They know who our teachers are. They know that we loaded. But they, you know, when you talk about that, because I swear I kept thinking about exposure, right? Mm-hmm. Because we do need that because we're trying to get a message out. Right. And so you would think that there wouldn't be this competition, that those individuals who have platforms and etc. not begging. That's why we don't call and beg to be on nobody's show, because we realize that people are insecure. They're insecure, and whatever their motivations are for having it is not going to go any place until you change your damn heart. And because as long as your heart is like it is, and you're doing it because you trying to be famous and that's the wrong reason. Absolutely. Man, we don't come on this damn thing to be famous. I don't give a damn about if nobody ever saw me again. I do it because we care, and man, we want to challenge the foolishness out here.
You know, I heard somebody say to me, you know, yeah, I heard some people saying, why didn't you tell them about the Obama thing? You know, they would have came to support you. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, why don't you come support me at the museum when we doing the work?
Right.
Forget Obama and him. He got his support. He cool. I don't need support there. I need you all there when the cameras are off and when the lights finna get cut off.
Is this thing gonna be a museum or is it gonna be a entertainment center? What is it?
Oh man, it's gonna be the epicenter for cultural economic development under
Where's
the broader
that newspaper? You
tourism.
showed me it was a newspaper. I just want to see the title of it. That's all. I ain't gonna get too deep into it. But I know there are some groups who are not really happy.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about the Obama Center. What is that going to be?
What is that going to be?
Because I'm still speaking from the perspective of Pullman National Monument, because we opened in 2019. That's what. So, you know, so for me, my mind is
now with some of will they guide people to your place, or is that entertainment? What is exactly is it?
Well, like I say, you know, to my understanding, the complex, the Obama Presidential Center is basically going to be, you know,
it's not a library.
It will have a library in it, if I'm not mistaken, but
not there.
It's just this center for organizers.
So where you gonna keep the other stuff?
I really don't know, because very frankly, I just haven't been that into the
involved. Okay, that's okay. You can answer that.
I mean, but simply because in everything I do, I have an area of concern. I have an area of influence. My area of concern may be the well-being of that, because I know it will be an epicenter for the city and it'll bring a lot of tourism to the city. But at the end of the day, my influence is the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum and Pullman National Monument.
I love it.
That's where my footprint is.
That's
where my influence is. That's where I don't have to, do anything against my credibility or my integrity in order to be a part of it. And that's why I don't have to worry about being excluded. You can't exclude me from my own thing, and you can't shut me down if you ain't paying for it. You know what I mean?
And I love it, because the devil plans and so does God.
Listen.
And God actually have the master plan.
Absolutely.
And so with all of the stuff that they think they doing, and they gonna get it by the people, and you still got them emotionally, in balance, and they just whatever, they say, and they were at the concert. I know people's like, it's nothing wrong with you. It's at the concert, fine. And I did comment, and some of the people chants. But damn, man, after all of that, and you say you were in the room and you Facebook Live from the place, don't have low self-esteem, though.
Yeah.
When you say it, damn, man, you get on my nerve with that.
I think that that was a good weekend for me, because it was really an opportunity to really just see things for what they really were.
What'd you see?
I saw that, very frankly, people really don't have a plan for economic development for the community. You know what I mean? Like there's some people there's some people doing some wonderful work.
I love you, Dave.
There's some people doing some wonderful work. It really is.
Teach, brother.
But at the end of the day, like I say, I know what I would do with 1/10 of those resources. You know what I mean? Just from an economic development standpoint, and I'm optimistic that as the time progresses, they will eventually get and understand the importance of things like a community benefits agreement or things of those natures. And I think that's why he's continuing Obama. I think that's why he's continuing to bring so many different styles of conversations on his platform.
I think it's brilliant now. The more you talk, the more I can see is how do we, and you using one of your words, you said it too, gain access.
Yeah, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, anybody who has anything to say about anything concerning that Obama Center has already proven, not conceptualized, proven that and demonstrated that they do not have the capacity to stop that project. That's already been clear. That's clear now, because if you was gonna do it, you'd have did it. So the rallying, the negative media, the advert, anything that you could think of that could be done, they've already tried it, and they've demonstrated that they don't have the capacity to do it.
Here's the deal. Look, here's the deal. You're right. We protest a bunch of buildings that's being built, but I don't think any of those buildings, they might have had a little pause, that day, because they interfered with the construction thing, but I think they all eventually got built.
And you know why? Because they have resources and
guns.
I mean, and they got
nuclear. They got nuclear arms.
Yeah, but more than that, they got guns and butter.
They got the FBI.
They got guns and butter.
They got the counterintelligence operation. They got all of that, seriously. And I'm saying that jokingly, but seriously, that's what they got. They'll shut you down, and they'll find a way to take you out of business. So that's why you got to have you got to have some real true faith. I want to ask you this question, because what time is it?
Faith and resources, though. You can't go to war without no money.
You forget about it.
It's over with. You know what I mean? So we go to war and then try to find out how we're gonna win while we on the battlefield. While as a person with the resources, they planned out how it was gonna go from step 1 to step 20, and then put their plan out there. And we continuously do not follow that model, and we continuously wonder why we're back at the same square one. And we repeat these models that have proven in the past to not work, and then say, well, why ain't it working? Because they showed you back then that it didn't work. We still running plays from the 60s.
Wow.
We are outdated. We have an outdated approach to everything in regard to leadership. And that's because, once again, the majority of our leaders aren't necessarily good businessmen, but they're very passionate speakers.
And some of them are just, frankly, opportunists. Could I ask you this question? You're going to be making a presentation, you and some very powerful individuals at the next leadership roundtable.
In God's will, yes, sir.
Yeah, by God's will. 5 individuals who are going to be making presentations. Oh, we got 5. Oh, Mike said 5 minutes. But him and Earl love to get. And Earl got it. You don't have it in red. At least you don't have it in red. One of them stations. I want to talk about the upcoming leadership summit, and I also want to let people know too that the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan is going to be giving a very major press conference Thursday at 10 o'clock from the Capitol, and he will be delivering a very important message to the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, and the U.S. government and others around the world. I think everyone should be tuned in to hear the divine wisdom from our brother. Make no mistakes about it. It's very, very important that we all tune in, because we do need some more clarity and some fire in our butts and in everybody's butt, to where we could see how to get out of this condition. So you're going to make a presentation, be one of the presenters at the roundtable, economic roundtable, Black Leadership, on Saturday. I don't want you to give it away, but I want people to know that Brother David will be there. Dwayne Hirsch, Brother Roland Davis, Brother Sachs, preacher.
I'll be there talking about proof of concepts and solutions. That's it.
Okay, well, that's a lot. That ain't it. That's quite a bit.
Implementation strategy. Let's get to work, Jack. That's it.
Good.
That's it.
Very, very good. So we want everybody to be there. So plan to be there. And Black leadership come together to plan and protect the economic future of Black Chicago. Many voices, one direction. So it will be at the I always forget this place. What am I trying? What is the name of the Mike? Prince Hall. And that's at 809 East 42nd Street. 42nd right place. 809 East 42nd place on the 3rd floor. That's the Prince Hall Grand Lodge. Reading is fundamental. And folks, I went over those fundamentals right here. So that's Saturday, November the 18th, 1:30 to 4:30. Prince Hall. Okay, and we have a gubernatorial debate at Chicago State.
The Chicago
State, 6 at 5 o'clock. In what room? In the library. Y'all need to be there. The new Black leadership is sponsoring that. Well, hey, all of the candidates gonna be there? Oh, everybody's gonna be there. I should be facilitating that one, baby. We got 2 minutes. So David, in the last 2 minutes, I'd like to give them to you. Hey guys, if you're watching this, it's still not too late to share this.
The last minute. Stop being so hard on our leaders.
Good.
You know, pray for our leaders, protect our leaders.
Who are our leaders?
You know, keep our leaders in prayer and focus more on solutions than problems.
And
you know what I mean? So before you throw somebody under the bus, make sure that you can provide a solution to the problem that you're throwing them under the bus for. Have you consulted with them? Let's have internal family conversations before we put our people out to the great.
Can I say it like the Honorable like Mama said? Don't say what must be done. Get up and do something. All right, peace and love. New Black leadership. The real deal.